This is a past life reading for meditation space. So I'm going to go ahead and surround myself in light. And your guides are already surrounding you in the light without me. So just wait a second, let them do that. Okay, so past life readings, they always start out with a short energy reading normally. And the first thing that your guides are coming in with is they're talking about outside influences. And they're saying something about the last reading. How you need to go within and center yourself and meditate more. And part of this is actually because of outside influences as well, that they want you to do this. So there are some people around you, and I kind of get a feeling that some of it is people who are related to you, so like family members. But this could be friends too, or people who are around you a lot. So maybe people that you're living with, or just people that you have regular interactions with and that you engage with regularly. But there are some people in your life, I almost get a feeling like they kind of dictate things a little bit, or maybe control you a little bit in some way. And it feels like there are some outside influences that cause some negativity for you as well. So they're saying that this isn't only about what you're releasing all the time. So that's something from the last reading too that they're kind of reinserting into my head here. So they're saying most of it is that, but some of it is also things around you from other people, and that's another reason why they would want you to still and center yourself and just not like let these people affect you. Because it's kind of like they are throwing these darts at you. And you almost have to turn off a little bit emotionally, but I don't really want to say turn off. It's not like you're shoving an emotion down or something. It's more of like a detachment. You're detaching from it, where you're still and you are in yourself, and so it just doesn't affect you. So if someone is just not nice to you or says something to you that's just kind of rude, or they just don't really get you, to just kind of detach from that. Detach and become still. And they're saying that that's going to happen more and more as you're meditating. You're going to be able to do that a bit easier. As they're also saying that sometimes you can get a little bit caught up in it, or that it gets tiring sometimes. Okay, now, even though there weren't really any questions for this reading, it was just whatever your guides want to bring up. I did feel guided to go ahead and have a couple of your questions here that were for one of the other readings, actually two of the other readings. I pulled up two of these from those that I was guided to pull, and they do want to go ahead and answer one of them. So this one is about the LGBT lifetimes, and why does your soul keep having those? Well, the first thing that they're saying is, they're saying that there is a special quality about you. There's something special about you and unique about you that you are bringing in and bringing forth out of yourself. They're saying that you're not supposed to be the same as other people. You are supposed to be different. And you're always going to have that, whether it comes out in this way or maybe it ends up coming out in another way in some other lifetimes. It is something that you're always going to carry with you, this unique quality. You're going to stand out, and you're going to almost fill yourself with something different that's going to be noticeable and obvious. Like my abilities, for instance, I could hide that if I wanted to. I could hide them, but I wouldn't really be being myself. But I could get away with it in this society, especially. After a while, they might end up coming out on their own. But really, I could get away with it, and I could still be a fairly happy person. I would have just ended up going in some other direction with my life, right? That's a fair amount of intuitive people. But they're saying, now for me personally, I definitely wouldn't have been happy doing that, but they're giving that as an example. A lot of intuitives could hide that and kind of get away with it, but with this, it's not something that you can really hide. People try to hide it, but it's going to come out one way or another, or someone's going to be very unhappy. So this is something that's obvious that you carry, that is different from the majority of other people here. And they're saying that you need that difference. And not only that, they're saying differences. There are things about you that you carry that are strong differences, differentiations between your path and other people's. So you're always going to do things or be drawn to things that are a little bit less mainstream. Okay, now they're going into the past lives, the past lives here. But first, I'm just getting some feelings. I'm not really sure of when this was exactly or what exactly is happening yet. So they'll just come in with that as we go. But firstly, they're giving me this feeling. The first thing they showed me was like some kind of ruler. And then this feeling, it felt like slavery. It felt like being in bondage to someone else. And then there was even almost this feeling of like a banishment or imprisonment, something like that. And something that you were almost like some authority made it this way for you. Like they spoke this, they said this, and that was the way it was. That was what had to follow through. Part of the reason that this is coming in a little bit without as much detail right at first is partly just because the energy of it is kind of disturbing. So yeah, there's a lot of turmoil with this. There's a lot of really disturbing energy with this. And then there are some pictures coming in. Mostly it's this feeling. But I'm keep seeing this prison, and it's like you're being fed like at certain times, and it's like whatever you can get, and it's this really like crappy, like horrible food that nobody really likes, but you're kind of being forced to eat it, because if you don't eat it, you're not going to get anything else. And so the water, the food, everything, you're just kind of gulping it down. So there's this feeling of desperation, and it's like a desperation to get some relief. And they're showing me Egypt. So this actually happened in an Egyptian lifetime. They're saying that you had an Egyptian lifetime where you were also somebody else. But this is the one where they want to point out where you weren't somebody well off, and you weren't somebody they're saying that would almost kind of commonly come through um, in somebody's meditation, or in a past life reading by someone who almost isn't as good at reading people, or more kind of wants to tell people what they want to hear. And they're just saying this isn't one of those. There are lifetimes you have had that were better, or where you were more well off or doing better, but they're saying that the karma that you need to clear centers more around, or the karma that you are clearing, it centers more around things that happen to you. And they're also saying that it wasn't really your fault. So this isn't a fault of yours. This is just something that happened. And sorry, because I think my camera is kind of freezing a little bit. But I'm going to keep going, obviously, because I don't want to interrupt the reading. So if the camera freezes a bit, just try and bear with me here. Now, this person in this lifetime who imprisoned you, or put you there, put you in this place, or almost gave you this sentence, is in the current lifetime. And I feel this as a female person, actually, and someone older than you. Now, sometimes a man's energy can come across more feminine, or a woman's energy can come across more masculine, but this feels like a woman, the energy of it. Now, in that lifetime, they were male, obviously, but in this lifetime, they feel more like a woman's energy and someone older than you who's kind of overbearing a bit. They're not as bad as in that lifetime, not nearly, but some of that energy is still there, where they feel like they almost have this dominance over you a little bit. And you're sorting that out so that you don't have another lifetime with this person, or at least not in this way, where they feel almost like they have an authority over you. And then I also feel a second person's energy. This person was a little bit lower down, so they didn't actually sentence you to go to this place, but they were in charge of you while you were there. And they're in this lifetime as well. And this feels like maybe a cousin, or like a brother energy, or maybe an uncle energy. So this feels like a family member. And they feel male to me. And I want to say uncle, actually. I kind of want to say uncle, but the first feeling I was getting was almost like a brother energy. But sometimes I can pick up on a brother energy, and the person doesn't even have a brother. It's like a friend or a cousin or some other family member that feels like that, or in some cases an uncle, because it's the brother of one of their parents. Now, this person, whether or not they're the uncle, you can recognize them. You can recognize the energy, because what they're coming through with is, this person isn't so negative to you, really. They're just kind of, they're a little bit like sarcastic, or they kind of make these jokes that seem like jokes, but they kind of jab a little bit. So it's like, really, they're kind of putting you down, but they kind of get away with it because it seems like it's kind of in this joking way. And I feel like they do that with other people too. It's just kind of this energy that they have about them. And it is about themselves, because I feel my heart chakra, and I do feel like there's some kind of pain within themselves that they're almost masking and that they're not dealing with. And so it comes out in this way, in this kind of overbearing but joking way. So it's rude, but it doesn't really seem that way. So it's like a deceptive rudeness or deceptive jabs. And then I also feel a sister energy, which actually feels more good. It feels more positive to me. So this could be like a female friend that you have who is a more positive influence on you, or it could be an actual sister as well. But this would be someone more around your age, and you've drawn them to yourself, or if they're family, if they're a relation to you, then you came in with that energy near you. So you drew this into yourself based on something positive within yourself, and like positive affirmations that you wanted to give yourself. So this person is more encouraging of you and of who you are and the way that you come across and the fact that you're different. They like the differences. They encourage the differences. And they seek out the differences in others because they're not afraid of them. So they're not afraid of being judged, and so they're not judging you. Now, the other energy that I also get is also that sometimes when people are judged themselves, they don't judge others. They have an easier time not judging others about so many things if they've experienced the same judgment. Now, the last reading, they had me pull out these two crystals. This one is called fuchsite, and it's actually green. I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but it's actually like a metallic kind of green, like kind of a sea green color. And then this one is a deep green. This is a malachite. And it was interesting because I felt to look these up for the reading when I pulled them out. When I pulled them out, and this was during the last reading actually that they first had me pull these out. And I was going to mention it because she reminded me of them, your guide, or it did. And then they didn't want me to tell you about it then, but that's what it was. But the interesting thing was that this stone is for healing. And then this one, when I was reading about it, it specifically said not to use it for physical healing. So I thought that was really weird to have these two stones together in a reading. But there was also a lifetime where you had healing abilities. And they're saying that you come in with that now as well. So you come in with healing qualities. You have healing gifts. And some of this is from your hands. So this is more like Reiki. It's not all like emotional healing kind of energy that I'm picking up. Some of this is physical as well, like healing physical ailments and also seeing actual results. So they're saying not like, some of these people that get a Reiki master certificate or whatever, and they can kind of clear your chakras, but they don't necessarily heal the person. And obviously that's not all of them. There are plenty of great healers. But some people do more of just a general like chakra clearing, and they don't really heal the ailment with their energy. But they're saying in this lifetime, you did that. You experienced physical changes in a person's body when you would heal them. So it would manifest clearly and easily and quickly too. They're saying like within the next few days, that person would be cleared of whatever it was, or really start getting better and eventually be cleared of whatever it was. They're also saying sometimes within a few hours, the person would start feeling better. And that depends on what kind of like blocks that they had internally. So we're going a little bit over, but I'm going to give your guides a few more minutes to just finish this because I feel guided to give them a little bit more time. And I'm not normally guided to do that. Normally I'm guided to stop at the time frame. My guides are pretty they're pretty strict with me on keeping it in the time frame it's supposed to be. But this time we're going to go a little bit over. And I feel this energy in my stomach. And I see it's almost like you could almost reach in and pull out the ailment, almost pull on it. So you were doing this with energy that you were feeling. It's like you were feeling the ailment, and you could almost enter the person's body energetically and start removing it. And it would take you a little time, so you wouldn't necessarily just go in and just instantly pull it out. It feels like you were kind of going in and feeling it and gathering energy around it and almost like scooping it out and pulling it out of the person. So within like an hour, like maybe around there, half hour to an hour, or maybe 2 hours, something like that, they're saying, depending on what it was. And the person would have an adjustment, and you would feel it sometimes even before the person would feel it. So sometimes the person would feel better right away, other times not until a bit later, but you would feel it and know that the treatment was over. So you would know that you had healed them. And I also feel guide communication, and also that you were also a medium in this lifetime, but that your healing abilities were stronger in the lifetime. And this again was a pretty like older lifetime. So the other one was in ancient Egypt, and they're saying that this one was only a little bit after that you had this lifetime. And it's not in Egypt. But it's somewhere, the energy feels kind of similar still. And okay, I'm going to look this up real fast. Okay. That is, yeah, that is a real place, and it is by Egypt. Okay, because they were saying Assyrian, and I probably should know what that is. I wasn't even sure what that is. I'm sure I've studied that like a million years ago for some like school test or something. I don't really remember it now. Okay, so it was in the area, like they said, and it was around the same time period, but it wasn't in Egypt exactly. They're saying that it was that you were Assyrian in that lifetime when you were doing this. And something about the stomach. I keep feeling my stomach. It feels like a lot of people were coming to you with stomach issues. And even like, not really a plague, but some kind of like disease, or that isn't really the word either, but it was bad, like some kind of bad like flu or some kind of sickness that people were catching, and that a lot of people were catching. So it was being passed around, and you were immune to it. And people were coming to you to heal that specifically. And there was a lot of it going around. A lot of people had this, some kind of like stomach flu that they had, that they were catching. And you were washing this energy off of yourself, like not with water, not with like physical water, but you had a way of cleansing it off of yourself and releasing it into the sand. And that was another thing at the front too. I keep seeing sand with this person, and almost like you were a nomad a little bit, but at the same time, I feel city. I feel a city, like there was a town that you did live in, but it feels like you would kind of go off. And I feel kind of like you would go off sometimes for a long period. I even feel like you incorporated fasting and rituals. And the religion of this period, and anything you can find out about that, about the mysticism of this culture, I feel like they're saying would be a good thing for you to look into and tap into, and tap into this lifetime more. Because this is an energy that you carry with you as well, and it's going to come up more and out of you much more during this lifetime as you continue releasing these things. And when you release these blocks from other lifetimes, and especially the slave lifetime that they're bringing up, and the reason is that this lifetime comes after. It comes right around the same time period. And I feel like for some reason those blocks from the slave lifetime, they didn't impede this one. They didn't really block you yet. They didn't really come up strongly yet. They didn't surface to the point where you were impeded by them until later, where they kind of started rearing their ugly head. But you had some lifetimes where you had a lot of abilities that were coming up that you were using. Especially back then, I feel like it was more common in a way, not for like everybody to have them, but just like here in our society, like we barely even, we shun it pretty much. We hardly even want to go there because we're so scientific, we don't really believe in it back then. So it's not like it was common, like everybody had it, but common in the understanding that a person could have it and that you could go to these types of peoples and they could heal you, or see the future or past in my case, and whatever they had in that way was more common, more acceptable. It was more common language. So people just understood it and believed in it more. So you were more encouraged to do that. And here again, I'm getting encouraged. In order for these to really come up, it's like you have to be encouraged to do that. So You need to encourage yourself, but you also have to surround yourself with positive vibes. Friends who support you and are not condemning you or looking down on you or even seeming positive but really being negative. So really they're kind of pushing you around a little bit or even kind of jokingly teasing you, but really it's hurtful or negative. So that's something to be watchful of and to keep yourself surrounded with higher, more positive influences. Okay, and that is the end of the reading. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this reading for you, meditation space. Thank you so much. Namaste.